Started.
Hello, Code Warriors. This is On, and little glitch last night. You might notice I'm in different clothes as I'm finishing up this piece of things. Coming back to you so that we could wrap up part one of A Triple Threat for America. And this is a three-part series that I'm doing that includes immigration, re-education, and infiltration. And I hope you enjoy this series, and I hope that you're enjoying the content that is in it as we dig a little bit deeper. And again, this is kind of a new format for me to be using as far as recording these videos, so you can always give me some feedback and comment and say, yeah, I like this, I like that I can see the screens, or any of that type of thing with you. But unfortunately, last night when I was recording the first part of this, my internet went down and just cut me off like that, and it took about 12 hours for it to come back. Well, about 11 hours for it to come back up. It's been kind of crazy here, so we're just going to hope that it all holds out, and we're going to pick up where we left off. And so this is part 1B that we're going to. And what I'm going to do is I will be going on in to the aspect of where we left off, which was I was just starting to bring in the information from Janet Osabard, who did the Fall of the Cabal series, and I talked about she's also got a sequel out. You've heard me refer to her sequel in regards to the UN pieces. And this piece she put out a while back, but you can find her on her BitChute channel. As you can see right here, it's Fall Cabal is the name of the channel. And I want to share this little clip because it's so good at helping us identify what is happening when we're seeing some of these clips of the immigration. And we have a variety of different pieces when we're looking at these clips. Some people are getting actual clips of things, but I want to delve a little bit deeper just beyond that, because some of this is going to tell you how it's staged. It's going to tell you how they work some of these things and where it doesn't make sense. So let me go ahead and bring this little piece in. And again, I definitely want to credit Janet Osabard on this. Excellent job where she put together this series, and excellent job in bringing some of these insights together of how we kind of get tricked by the media, and how we think that we're seeing one thing, but we're actually seeing something completely different, and something that might look real is actually something really staged. So here we go with it. And this, by the way, happened in 2018.
The migrant caravan that headed to the southern border of the U.S. in April 2018 was covered by the media big time. According to the official reports, these people came mostly from Honduras, where the caravan had started, and then people from Guatemala, El Salvador, Nicaragua, and Mexico joined the march. The main reasons for them to flee their home country were gang violence and poverty. When I saw the first pictures, I was shocked, but then I realized there were just too many images of women and children, which is always a sign of media manipulation and a hidden political agenda. Always. Critical thinkers like the QAnon studied the pictures closely. Too many things did not add up. Like I said in part 1, these people had to walk for 45 miles a day, each and every day for 1.5 months. But these people don't look exhausted. They're not dirty or sweaty. I mean, look at them. Their clothes are clean. Clean babies. Clean pants. They wear labels. They are well fed. These people aren't refugees. They're not poor. I traveled through Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras, and I saw poverty. Believe me, these people are not poor. 45 miles a day on flip-flops? Are you kidding me? Or even barefoot? Come on, where are the blisters? And why aren't they carrying what is needed for a journey like that? Blankets, food, water. Where are the spare diapers? Some people do have small backpacks, but they appear to be brand new. So, what did happen? First of all, buses and vans were deployed to transport all of these people from Honduras to the US border. Flip-flops? No problem. You only have to get out of the van occasionally for a group photo. Next, in order to get as many people as possible, you pay them. Thanks to some alert anons, this was filmed on site. Then, in order to be efficient for the media, you give the main players a coloured wristband. Brilliant! Different colours, different meaning, all known to the reporters and the cameramen. Some people overact. Others are really convincing and make it to the World News Report. Meet Maria Meza and her 5 children, all the way from Honduras. She made it to every news item on TV, telling about her terror, the fear for her children, their eyes all wet and swollen due to the tear gas that the American Border Patrol so viciously threw at them. Well, Maria, there are a few flaws in your story. I've looked at every single picture of you and your beautiful girls. None of them show any signs of tear gas. This picture clearly shows that you are the only ones in action. The cameraman shoots away, completely unhindered by the gas. There is no panic. Let's have a closer look at this picture. Cameramen are standing in a line of smoke, yet have no problem with that. Oh wait, look! Somebody is throwing a gas canister. Is that a fellow refugee? Maria told the press that her son went back the next day to get the canister and show it to the reporters. Shame on you, America. I do hope Maria was paid handsomely, I really do, but the story sucks. The family was photographed on another day, getting out of the van for yet another day's work in front of the camera. And the tear gas canister? You can buy them at any theatre prop retailer, or you can use the police training variety. They produce white smoke, but no harm is done. I guess Trump's statement was correct. No tear gas was used on the children. The entire mainstream media coverage of this event was biased and flawed. My advice to the producers, next time, pay more attention to the details, for the anons are on to you. Refugees who walk for thousands of miles do not walk like this. Or like this. They don't wear flip-flops. They don't have brand new pink buggies. They do not polish their nails. They don't wear iron shirts. Neither do they have perfect haircuts and makeup. When they say they flee their country because they're so poor they can't even buy food, don't show them with digital cameras and iPhones. Refugees who walk for thousands of miles are not clean. And for God's sake, pay attention to some of your supporting actors.
So you're getting the idea of what Janet is saying in here. And again, this is an excellent series. If you haven't seen it, I highly encourage it, as well as the sequel series to this. And I pointed this out, and I wanted to share this clip from her because it really is a powerful way of showing what they're doing and how they're pulling things over on us. And this happened back in I believe it was 2018 was the one that this one was staged and brought in. But let's take a look at the current events of immigration that's happening. And what's interesting is it is so similar. It's so similar in the way that it's being done, in the way that it is happening. And that is one of the big things that drew my attention into here. So as we close this one out, take a look. Biden shirts. Biden, please let us in. Where did they get the shirts? They didn't walk all that distance, and these are the same groupings that Janet talked about in her video, coming from the same areas, through the same pathway, apparently. And you want to tell me that they had to get these from somewhere. I mean, when you're really in stricken poverty, you're not out buying Biden shirts. These were provided as a photo op, and that's the type of things that we need to realize. How about this photo where they're all kneeling? And this is a sign of virtue signaling. This is a sign of showing alliance to the people who paid for them to take these photos, who paid and bussed them in and who brought them forth. And again, I'm not saying that there aren't legitimate immigrants, but what I am saying is that there is a lot of these things that are staged, just like Janet was saying. There are a lot of these things that are not what they appear to be. These people are not just all naturally Biden solidarity. If Trump had paid for them to come, it would have been a different story. They would have been supporting Trump, not Biden. They are doing whatever they need to do to try to get across into the country. These are paid actors. These are people that are being paid to come forward. They're being paid to appear to make these journeys. And, you know, yes, some of them might be legitimate. Some of them might be temporary. Some of them might be trying to get into America. But the fact is that this is staged. When you see this type of thing, when you see people kneeling, that is really staged. Look at this. This is not the way that these people operate in their country. They don't line up in these lines. You're not going to see them perfectly uniform. You're not going to see these things. And you really have to wonder about these who are covering their heads. Who are those? Those are actually probably people who most likely, and I don't know for sure, but it seems a little suspicious they don't want to be known. It's very likely that they probably already have a record to them. But they're probably getting a little bit of a free ride or something else in order to do this photo op. So again, this is a paid thing. And look at the haircut of this girl in the second row. That's a pretty nice haircut there. That's not cheap. And then you got this white dude right back here, kind of at the top left part of the picture, next in the green cap there. And he is definitely not from south of the border. So when you start to look at these things a little more carefully, and one of the things I'm going to show you, take note, look at how they're all wearing masks in these photo opportunities with Biden shirts. And, you know, here again, they're all clean. They're not showing the indication that they have made some kind of rough journey along the way. Now, this again is going to show some pictures of where a little bit of a video clip where we saw the news coverage, and I want you to look at this with these new perspectives, these new eyes, okay? And there is what appears to be violence in here, but there really isn't that. Again, we're seeing pretty much a staged situation.
¿Por qué leñazo le pegaron a ese?
So let's go back here for just a second on this. And first of all, when you see this coming forth, you know, it's very interesting actually this scene reminds me a lot of the January 6th riots. You see the police are kind of coming back. And then all of a sudden they clip to this aspect of where the crowd is dispersing and there's apparently some kind of a firing sound, which they want you to believe that they are providing tear gas into the crowd. And, you know, here again, if you look really carefully, like on this guy in kind of the center of the crowd, where the opening is, perfectly white shirt. Now, if you're rubbing up against these military people and stuff like that, you're not going to be staying clean. You see how they're dispersing, but there really isn't this kind of danger. It's like they've all been told to step back.
¿Qué leñazo le pegaron a ese?
So here they're wanting you to believe that there's, you know, been sort of these I don't know, bombs or tear gas or whatever go off, which, you know, really isn't the case, because if that was the case, you wouldn't have people standing just calmly in lines. You wouldn't have people just walking through. You see how these ladies are just kind of sitting there? They're just sitting there. One of them looks like she's on a cell phone possibly, and they're just kind of hanging out like nothing's going on. There's no fear here. Their hair is neat. Their clothes are clean. See how those police are just lining up? You see those new backpacks that are in there, the clean clothes, some of them trying to cover their faces because they don't want to be recognized. And it's, you know, somebody who is a genuine immigrant, who is in poverty, who is fleeing violence. They're not trying to cover themselves up. And look at everybody in this part of the clip. Everybody is perfectly clean. Look at that bright pink shirt on the right over there. Look at all of this. Perfectly clean. See how they're just chilling out there? These are new clothes, clean clothes. These people haven't traveled hundreds and hundreds of miles. How about this guy standing right here in this gray shirt? And this isn't a cheap haircut. That's not something that you're going to see in a poverty country. How about this guy in the red baseball cap? He's white. He's not even from south of the border. Can you see this? You're seeing people that are in these clean clothes, and some of these clothes aren't even indicative of what they would wear in their own areas, in their own towns. And what appears with this So you see how they're all just chilling out like nothing's happening? They're just waiting for their next order, their next direction. You see the bus? If you look behind this red truck here on the left side of the screen, right behind it, there's your bus. There's your bus that's transporting them. So, you know, they really want us to be fooled by this. And they really want us to, you know, buy this story of these poor, poor immigrants. So as we move on, we've got this aspect of going through, we have these rafting shots, and they're talking about, this actually comes from the Daily Caller, and they're talking about, you know, they're showing some photos of smugglers using inflatable rafts to transport illegal immigrants, and young children. But here again, look at the rafts. You see, remember in the photos I just showed you where they had the Biden shirts on, everybody had their mask on, but when they're in the rafts, they're not. See, they don't think they're necessarily being photographed in the rafts as they're coming across. And where did they get these nice rafts from? Because a lot of these, is not what they would have normally. They wouldn't look this new. So what do we have here? They actually are identifying it. They're able to identify it as a Seahawk 4 inflatable boat, and they know exactly how much it cost and where it came from on Amazon. Now, this is a big flag for me. I'm seeing this Amazon piece right here, right? And Amazon, like Wayfair and some of the other companies out there, has been known for child trafficking and human trafficking and the selling of children. So the fact that they are putting that in here is a huge red flag for me. That's absolutely gigantic aspect in there, not to mention they're promoting the Amazon, and when you make that connection, they're showing it as helping these poor immigrants, and it's really connecting to human trafficking, sex trafficking, pedophilia rings, so on and so forth, because that's what's being run through some of the Amazon areas right now when they closed some of the other stuff down and they came down on them. So here again, look at these kids, look at what they're wearing, look at what these families are wearing. Okay, they want you to believe these stories, but here again, there's no way. You wouldn't walk with only a purse, and most of these people don't necessarily have purses to start with. And here again, this white shirt, if you had been traveling for days, and first of all, there's not, like, you can't walk 45 miles a day. You're not, most people can't even walk 12 miles a day. That's a hard walk for a lot of people, especially in these kind of terrains. And if you had done that for a few days, would you look clean? Would you have clean clothes on? Absolutely not. And look at these white shirts. Look at the way they are. They look like there's nothing wrong. It's almost like a Disneyland ride when you look at this. Okay? Look at how clean these are. Here again, here's comic style shirts. What is that, Adidas or something like that logo? This is a designer clothing. When you're coming out of poverty areas, you don't have designer clothes. You don't have these things. So yes, are they coming across on the boats? Yes, they're coming across. Are they being filmed and photographed? Yes. But my question is, who is paying for this trip? Now, before we knew it was Soros that was behind it. But take a look at this. I think I may have showed this before when I had the Latino USA and I talked about this article right on 10 things regarding coyotes. Well, right there, Seahawk 2. Seahawk 2. So these are how they know. And how would they know what these boats are? How would they know to photograph this? Because this is a signal. They provided the boats. That's how they know. Again, look at these people. Look at these people. These are not your hardcore suffering people. These are not your people who have been subjected to violence. Okay? We have to look closely at things. Let me share with you some pictures. These are some people out of a Honduras village. This is how they carry their children, not in these fancy backpack things that they were gifted with. This is what their hair looks like, okay? And this isn't even after traveling or caravanning. This is normal life for them. Do they look squeaky clean? Do they wear white clothes? Are they wearing these fancy backpacks? Absolutely not. That's not how they live their life. Take a look at these kids. Look at that. There's a hole in the clothes. The clothes are dirty. Yes, she's happy. Yes, she's, reasonably clean. I'm not saying that they're never clean because they do. They have ways to stay clean in the villages. But, are you seeing these white clothes? Absolutely not. And this is normal. This is the type of thing that they would have, is maybe some terrors. When you're coming from the poverty area, your clothes are not perfect. Take a look at this. Now, these are a little more traditional style in some of the South American cultures. And this is a little more village robe or village designs, and they've got some bright colorings here. But do you see how different this is from the T-shirts? Do you see how the baby is packed in on the back within the blankets? This is the type of thing that they would be having for a long journey, would be more of these kind of blankets, these things they can throw around their shoulders and stuff like that. And when you saw these pictures of the Biden ones, you know, really some very cool clothing for being kind of winter. Here's another picture of what some of these village areas look like. Do their shirts look pressed? Do they look perfect? Do you see cell phones? Do you see fancy haircuts? Absolutely not in there. Now, how about this one? Okay, so you've got some kids, they're posing for a picture, but again, look at the clothes. Look at how they're dressed. It's not the way that they show it in the border pictures. The border pictures look totally different. Here's some more traditional Southern American clothing, okay? And some of the men, what they look like, okay? That doesn't look like what we saw. Did you see men wearing cowboy hats, these kind of hats coming through? No, you didn't see any of that. You didn't see any of it. And these are the things that we have to pay attention to. These are the things that we have to be careful of. And they are so easy to miss. They really are. And, you know, when we get down to it, and I'm going to just pause that screen sharing for a minute. When you get down to it, it's so easy to get wrapped up in these stories. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the drama. It's so easy to want to share, you know, these experiences and to have your heart go out to these people. But you also have to realize what's happening in the situation. They come in and they call and they're funding a lot of these things. Yes, there's a lot of people being pushed over, as I mentioned, from the caravans, the coyotes, the traffickers. But you've got a lot of people that are being paid, a lot of people that are being bussed over. And yes, we've had some legitimate clips, but here again, who was funding them to get across? Even the legitimate clips that are coming through, we're seeing those clean clothes. We're seeing these new rafts that are going through. Somebody's got to be funding that, because that's not what they would normally use. That's not what they would normally come across with. And so somebody is funding their journeys for them to come up here. Somebody is pushing them forward. And I pretty much would say we're looking at somebody like Soros, because that's who oftentimes funds these things. That's who oftentimes is behind these mass staged events, whether we're talking riots or whether we're talking immigration things. So it's definitely a big piece for us to consider. It's definitely something for us to keep in mind. Now, I want to cover just a little bit before we wrap up here on the codes. And let's take a look at what the codes have to say. When we look at somebody who is a coyote, for example, and we talked about who the coyotes were. Now, a coyote is really someone who, in their pure sense, is helping somebody to find abundance. They're helping somebody to have a better life. And they are helping them to get into a place where they can thrive, where they can experience good fortune from the efforts that they put forth and create a better life for themselves. In their unpure sense and their distorted sense, what we see is we see empty promises. We see them leading people to the promise of a better life, but not actually getting them there. Now, when we look at the cartels are all about money. It's all materially based. It's all about finances. And it is also about stopping the success, the true success that is rooted in wisdom. And so that is very important as well. If they get somebody that is too wise that comes their way, then they're probably going to take them down. You heard me talk about that in the part A of this first part series. And they are going to be the people who, in plural, will want to stop those that can think for themselves, who work in wisdom. They don't want that, because when people are operating in that way, then they are not able to be controlled. And the cartels like to control things. They want power. They want to be in charge. And they want their money. And mostly it's about money for them. And so they will do what they can. They will create these jealousies. They will create these divides. They will separate families, this type of thing. So they're really behind some of the more kind of hard stories that we hear about immigrants that come through, because remember, they have to be paid off along the way by the coyote. So if you get a smart coyote, they may not stay alive in that journey or that process. Now, when we look at mass amnesty, it appears to be something that is a good thing. It appears to be, again, trying to promise people of a future that they know, but what it's really about is control. It's really about having control over people. It's really about having power and influence over them. It's really about deceiving them into believing that they're part of a group and a team of people, when in reality it's trying to keep us ignorant of our past. It's trying to keep us from learning from our past in many ways. And it's kind of split, because if we look at the really pure sense of it, then mass amnesty is to help us overcome where we made mistakes in the past. But that being said, here again, it oftentimes will block us from making the wise choices. It oftentimes blocks us from being able to learn what has and hasn't worked because of that mass number involved in it, and because again it's holding people in a victim space. With mass amnesty, one of the parts of the mass amnesty in codes is that it is about being able to control a large group of people through peer pressure and coercion, and to keep silent the ones who want to tell the truth about what's going on. So there are some lack of integrity and untruthful pieces that are connected to mass amnesty. Now, the wall. Why is the wall? Well, before I get into the wall, actually the wall and the migrant caravan kind of go hand in hand in a lot of ways, but let me jump to the migrant caravan codes first. And they run hand in hand with the mass amnesty. The migrant caravan is actually to block people. It's to kind of put a pause on things. It's to create a stagnation, to teach a lesson, to make a point, to bring a point across. And a full-on migrant caravan is really about bringing down divine energy. It's really about working against divine energy in many ways, and it's really about trying to squash the experiences that people have. And when we see a fake migrant caravan, then what we're doing is we're bringing in the illusion of misfortune, and we're trying to convince people that there is misfortune, unfortunate circumstances that have happened. And a fake migrant caravan is designed to bring drama and turmoil, which is exactly what we're seeing in the reporting part and the news part of things, stirring up that drama, that turmoil. It feeds political agendas. That's what the fake migrant caravan is, and that's what we're seeing when, for example, they're wearing those Biden shirts everywhere and they're kneeling on their knees. That's what I would refer to as a fake migrant caravan. Now, that being said, what do we have with illegal immigration? And in illegal immigration, what that is about is to stimulate jealousy of those people who have actually earned their way, who have put in the effort, who have put in the work, who have learned their lessons, who have studied and started to create something for themselves. And it's to use those is to create a jealousy and use that jealousy in order to literally create a rebellion of sorts. So it operates in this rebellion energy. It operates as a means to make a statement or make a point or to hinder certain things or to create a rising up against something. And so the illegal immigration is rooted really in rebellion energy. And so when we look at that rebellion energy in codes, unfortunately, that pulls us oftentimes out of integrity. It puts us into reaction instead of action, and that can be very damaging for ourselves. That can be very damaging to the people that are doing it. It's almost like emotions out of control. And it's a very fine line between becoming empowered and standing up for yourself and going into a rebellion mode aspect. So that oftentimes creates battles or wars. So the illegal immigration issue oftentimes surfaces when they're trying to bring in battle or warrior energy to things. Now, the wall, because the wall, we talked about that earlier on. And what is the wall about? The wall is really about curbing and settling down the storming of land. It's about settling down the drama. It's about settling down and managing the turmoil. And, you know, when we look at that at a physical sense, how does it do that? Well, it weeds it, so it directs the traffic to certain points where it can be managed. It settles down so that the whole chaos aspect cannot break loose on things. Whereas when you don't have the wall and you have weak points and you have openings, then you're actually setting up for a lot of drama, a lot of chaos energy, a lot of just very turbulent, unexpected energy. So what this does is this kind of brings it into a space in codes. It shows that the wall is going to help to help bring in more of a calming energy. It's like the eye of the storm in a sense. and that's kind of an interesting metaphor when we're looking at the wall in regards to like a border wall. Let me think for just a second as far as specifically a border wall. You know, that's really kind of divine energy. It's about responsibility and it's about accountability. And it is about keeping people in a space that we can do things in a way that is appropriate and responsible and to be accountable for our actions and our choices. And when we do things in a responsible way, we can actually see growth come out of that. We can actually see the openings and the prosperity and the opportunities come forth. When we're doing things in irresponsible ways, then we're opening the doors to all kinds of problems and issues. So it's very interesting when we see that. And to just kind of wrap up this part one of everything, what we find and what I want to put forth to you in the wisdom of all of this immigration policy is we must find peace within the turbulence and handle the drama and the upheaval from a calm and a centered space, because this is what is going to give us the power to settle down the rebellion energy. And it is from that space that we're able to stand up for ourselves without being drawn into battle that serves no one. And it is from this space that we can then gain true wisdom in how to move forward. It is the opportunity to learn what the reasonable solutions are. And it is through that wisdom that we will all be victorious and that we will turn this into a true honoring of immigrants with integrity instead of being just about money and just about the corruption. So it allows us to bring that corruption into a manageable place where, again, we can honor the immigrants who are really trying to make a better life, who genuinely are the ones who are in need, and not these paid actors, and not that are being funded and provided for and aren't genuinely living in these impoverished communities. So I think it's so important that we make this differentiation. It is so important that we honor those pieces and that we keep these things in mind, because the media, these photo ops, they want to pull on our emotions. They want to pull and tug at our heartstrings, and they want to bring us forward. So with that, I am just going to come back around here and share with you, for those that are wondering, I've talked about the code journey, and I'm going to bring that up and share that with you. And in this code journey aspect book, this is what it looks like, and you'll see that there. And this is what the 2021 book looks like. I put out a new edition every year, and it talks about different world events. It's interesting to make these connections. It's got daily guidance, daily insights on there. So you can just pop right over to compassioncodes.com, and that website link is in the description, and that will get you over to where you can get your own copy of the book. So I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this part one of this three-part series, and I'm looking forward to bringing back to you these aspects of the other two parts. I'm looking forward to these next two parts and delving into them and sharing what I have on Reeducation and on Infiltration. Take care, everybody, and I will see you soon.